and communications to Borno State Governor and Mr. Olawale Okunniyi, who is a DG Nigeria Intervention Movement. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we do know, I mean, just looking at some of these key issues about the process, building up to the elections, we know how important security is. But, Mr. Okunniyi, let me get your impression about what political parties think about the preparations for elections. Is your party, your group satisfied with what you've seen from INEC at the moment?
Well, not really, because there are obvious lapses which we have noticed in terms of the build-up to the elections. And we think that given the foundation of our democracy, parties in charge of state or government will always have an advantage, and we have a lot of manipulations, subtle, going on at the moment. We just had Afegbu and Co. Speaking about that. In Nigeria, he will place the piper dictates the tune. Our democracy is such that it is very faulty in terms of how it has come to be from the military. So it's easy for those in power to manipulate. And it's such that it's winner take all. And so it's do or die. Those who are in government would never want to leave because they know they have all to lose.
But you know that we also do have a process, a system to checkmate all of those.
Oh yes, we can build a system, but we don't have that system now. And we have said that repeatedly since since 3 decades now. We have always said that you have problem with your elections, you have problem with security, you have problem with everything, if you don't deal with the foundation of the country, in which case you must institute real democracy. And in a diverse society like ours, you must have what you call federalism, or co-federalism. That is what can take, in which case you have the diverse peoples of Nigeria taking ownership of the, when I say constitution, I mean the foundation, the politics of their country, and then determine what they want to run. If the Boko Haram people say no to Western, what do you want in your area? What do you want? Let that be. If they say they don't want Western democracy, well, it's a diverse culture, so be it.
Is this as straightforward as that?
Well, the Boko Haram has a history, and one of the problems with the Boko Haram, why I think this discussion ought not to take the dimension that he is taking, the Boko Haram is basically a violent group. It's a group which is opposed to Western-style democracy, and then which believes that the best way to go about it is to kill anyone who either is in support of it, or who practices it, or who protects it. If you go back to the history of the Boko Haram, their evolution, or let me say their violent evolution in Nigeria, started around October 2003. Now, from 2003, that they became known around a border town called Kanama in Yobe State. They had a problems, with the military. From that time to date, they have always increased their level of aggression around the election period. If you remember, on 18th of April 2007, 300 Taliban members, then the Boko Haram was known as Taliban, appeared in Kano. They attacked police stations, and it was just 3 days to the presidential elections in 2007. Then in ahead of the 2011 elections, we all know what they did. There was a bomb blast in Suleja, even at the INEC headquarters. We know of the serial killings in Borno, including the killing of the then AMPP governorship candidate in Borno State. In 2015, we all know what happened, which led to the situation where the election had to be postponed for about 3 weeks. And now it is happening in 2015. Okay, so it's a familiar path, unfortunately.
So that path we will explore as much as we can, given time. But we're back in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. So it's in continuation of this, and you could respond to this as well, because there are those who just wonder, I mean, when the APC was in power, they had a lot of complaints about what they think should have been done concerning security. But now we've seen governors still complaining, some of them saying they are helpless about some of those situations. So why do you think it's particularly difficult to sort this out in your state, for instance?
Well, I watched what one of your speakers in one of the episodes of your program was saying. There are so many issues. But I think the most important thing is that there is the will. There's no doubt about that. There is the will on the part of the military. Of course, they have their challenges, but like I earlier explained, the Boko Haram usually steps of attack before elections because they are fundamentally opposed to democracy. They do everything to stop elections within their powers. Of course, you would argue that we ought to have anticipated that, this particularly in the military, looking at the history, to have prepared for it. The military had challenges, but from what I know, they are responding adequately to it. But I think we can also contribute as Nigerians by, as much as possible, being objective in how we see things. For instance, I saw a post by somebody in one of the newspapers yesterday saying that what is happening now in Borno State is because some politicians want elections to hold in IDP camps. Then, Northern Borno, where the security problems are happening, has 10 local government areas. In each of these 10 local government areas, none of them has more than 45,000 registered voters in each of these 10. Maiduguri alone, which is relatively peaceful, has 488,000 registered voters. Jere, which is peaceful, has 230,000 registered voters. So what sense would it make for somebody to think about getting registered voters in Northern Borno to come to IDP camps? It doesn't make any sense.
If you say that the security agencies are responding adequately to this, why is your governor frustrated about this as he's giving interviews in the dailies?
Yeah, what the governor didn't grant an interview. He convened an extraordinary meeting, and then he was very measured in what he said. He said, just like I said, that we have challenges in Borno State. No doubt about it. The frustration he was talking about is not about, he was relating to the past, in which he virtually had no access to the president. He was trying to juxtapose the current situation. There are people who have wondered, particularly in the opposition, that why is Governor Shettima not criticizing the president? And I'm telling you, and I will tell you to go and do a search when I leave here. Under the previous administration, when Jonathan was president, it took Governor Shettima 3 years before he came out to speak against the government. 3 solid years. It's the same period it's taking him now to talk about Buhari. He is somebody who is very, very careful. He believes that governance is a very serious business. It's not something you come to the marketplace and begin to talk about.
Now he says he has access to the president.
Yes,
That's
he does.
what he said now.
Yes, and then he has met the president a number. Yeah, he had problems of access. He clearly said it. There were many instances where it's either he met the president and it was always... You remember when he said in February that the Nigerian military was being poorly equipped. He said it at the villa. He was supposed to meet with the president. He came to meet with the president. He expected some amount of time within which he wanted to discuss, a number of issues, and that time wasn't given. When he came out, it was a spontaneous reaction. He did say it. That then the military...
The current president.
Yeah, no, the previous one.
No, we're talking about now.
No, right now, to be honest with you, he sees the president at the shortest request. That is the difference. If you are a governor, the whole essence of you coming out to talk is about being heard. Now, but if you have a system where you are being listened to, there's no point coming out to shout. But at this point, he had to come because he had to show leadership.
Mr. Okunniyi,